Douglas Robert Stewart Bader was born on February 21, 1910, in St. John's Wood, London. His father served in the British Army during the First World War and died from injuries sustained overseas. Bader was raised mainly by relatives and educated at St. Edward's School in Oxford, where he excelled in sports, particularly rugby and boxing, traits that would later define his determination. In 1928, he entered the Royal Air Force College at Cranwell, one of the most competitive military institutions in Britain. He completed his training in 1930 and was commissioned as a pilot officer in the Royal Air Force. Bader quickly earned a reputation as a skilled but overly confident pilot. Known for low-level flying and aerobatics, he often pushed aircraft beyond their design limits. On December 14, 1931, while attempting a prohibited low-altitude roll in a Bristol Bulldog fighter over Woodley Aerodrome near Reading, his plane struck the ground. The impact destroyed the aircraft and severely injured him. Both legs were amputated, one above the knee, the other below. Despite being fitted with Duralumin prosthetic legs, Bader was medically retired from the RAF in 1933. For most pilots, this would have ended their career permanently. However, Bader's persistence led him to walk, drive, and eventually fly again, using modified controls. He trained privately and proved capable of operating aircraft with precision using his prosthetics. Throughout the late 1930s, as Europe moved toward war, Bader repeatedly petitioned the Air Ministry for reinstatement. Though rejected multiple times, his persistence and physical rehabilitation made him ready for the moment Britain would once again need every available pilot. By the late 1930s, tensions in Europe were rapidly escalating as Germany rearmed and Britain prepared for another major conflict. For Douglas Bader, this geopolitical situation provided the opportunity he had waited for since his forced retirement in 1933. Determined to fly again, he had spent years writing to the Air Ministry, requesting medical reassessment. His persistence finally paid off when the RAF, desperate for experienced pilots, agreed to review his case in 1939. Bader was called to undergo physical and flight evaluations at Central Flying School, Upavon. Despite his prosthetic legs, he demonstrated remarkable mobility, walking without a stick, climbing into aircraft unaided, and performing all pre-flight procedures with precision. During flight tests, he handled a Miles Master trainer and later a Hawker Hurricane with exceptional control. His mechanical limbs, which many assumed would limit him, instead proved stable and reliable under flight conditions. His reinstatement came officially in November 1939, when he was commissioned again as a flying officer. He was assigned to No. 19 Squadron at RAF Duxford, where he began conversion training on the Supermarine Spitfire. Although initially treated with skepticism by younger pilots, Bader quickly silenced doubts through performance. His prosthetic legs allowed him to exert direct pressure on rudder pedals using his hips and thighs, maintaining balance and coordination even under high-G maneuvers. Without lower leg muscles to restrict circulation, he was less prone to blackouts, a minor advantage in combat. Through this period, Bader retrained rapidly, logging over 200 flight hours within months. His return symbolized not sentiment, but competence, a proven flyer with discipline, endurance, and the ability to adapt technology to overcome disability. With war underway, he was soon deployed to active duty over Europe, ready to test his regained skills in combat for the first time. Douglas Bader's first operational posting after his reinstatement came in May 1940 at the height of the Dunkirk evacuation, Operation Dynamo. He was assigned to No. 22 Squadron, flying the Supermarine Spitfire Mark I from RAF Duxford. The mission was crucial to protect retreating British and Allied forces trapped on the beaches of northern France as the German Luftwaffe dominated the skies. Flying multiple sorties per day, Bader quickly established himself as an aggressive and calculating combat pilot. His tactics emphasized height, surprise, and teamwork. Rather than circling defensively, he preferred climbing to high altitude and diving swiftly on enemy aircraft. On May 29, 1940, he recorded his first confirmed victory, shooting down a Messerschmitt Bf-109 near Dunkirk. Over the following days, he destroyed a Heinkel He-111 bomber, helping disrupt attacks on Allied ships evacuating troops from the beaches. Bader's conduct under pressure caught the attention of senior officers. He displayed remarkable composure in the midst of chaos, often leading small formations with precise communication. His natural leadership and confidence restored morale in his unit, which had suffered heavy casualties in the French campaign. By early June, the RAF had flown over 3,500 sorties in support of the evacuation. Bader's squadron played a vital role in reducing Luftwaffe pressure on the beaches, enabling the successful rescue of over 338,000 soldiers. Following Dunkirk, Bader's achievements and tactical insight were formally recognized. He was promoted to squadron leader and given command of No. 242 Squadron, a nearly decimated Canadian fighter unit in desperate need of leadership. His experiences over Dunkirk, where precision, teamwork, and nerve decided survival, would form the foundation of his later tactical theories that shaped RAF air strategy during the Battle of Britain. In July 1940, Douglas Bader took command of No. 242 Squadron, composed largely of Canadian pilots. The unit had suffered devastating losses during the Battle of France and was demoralized, short of aircraft, and disorganized. When Bader arrived at RAF Culteschal, he immediately recognized the challenge, not one of skill, but of morale and structure. The squadron needed discipline, confidence, and purpose. Bader's leadership style was direct, demanding, and rooted in example. Despite his double amputation, he refused any special treatment. He walked without aid, flew relentlessly, and insisted on being the first into the air and the last to land. His determination was contagious. Within weeks, he restored order through strict training routines and clear tactical philosophy. He emphasized formation flying, precision shooting, and unity in attack. His central principle was simple: the squadron fights as one or dies divided. He also introduced a tactical innovation that would later define his career: the big wing concept. Bader believed that instead of sending small defensive sections into combat, multiple squadrons should form large wings to deliver overwhelming force. This idea initially met resistance from traditional RAF command, but Bader's charisma and field results began to win converts. Under his command, No. 242 became one of Fighter Command's most reliable and aggressive squadrons. Their success rate rose sharply, and morale returned with it. By August 1940, Bader had molded the once-broken unit into a disciplined, confident force ready for the looming German onslaught, the Battle of Britain. His ability to transform a shattered squadron into a cohesive elite fighting team cemented his reputation as not only a superb pilot, but a natural leader whose authority came from courage and competence rather than rank alone. The Battle of Britain in mid-1940 became Douglas Bader's defining test as both a pilot and a tactician. As the German Luftwaffe launched massive daily raids over southern England, the RAF scrambled to defend its airfields, cities, and coastal convoys. Bader, commanding No. 242 Squadron from RAF Duxford, was placed under the Duxford sector, where he began putting his controversial Big Wing theory into operation. The Big Wing involved assembling multiple fighter squadrons, often 3 to 5, into a large formation of up to 60 aircraft. Rather than sending small, isolated units to meet incoming raids piecemeal, Bader believed that concentrated power could crush the enemy before they reached their targets. He coordinated closely with squadron leader Johnny Johnson and other skilled pilots to refine timing, altitude control, and formation discipline. When the Luftwaffe attacked in August and September 1940, Bader led his squadrons into the air to intercept. He was known for his aggression, diving from high altitude directly into bomber formations, breaking them apart and forcing enemy fighters into chaotic defensive maneuvers. His clear-headed command and coolness under pressure made him a natural leader in the thick of battle. The results were dramatic. During this campaign, Bader was credited with 11 confirmed aerial victories, including several Messerschmitt Bf-109s and Heinkel bombers. His tactical leadership inspired his men and demonstrated that massed formations could be effective under the right conditions. Although his methods drew criticism from higher command, who preferred smaller, faster responses, Bader's Big Wing achieved undeniable successes. By October 1940, Britain had resisted the Luftwaffe's might, and Bader emerged as one of the RAF's leading aces. His fearless flying, innovative tactics, and morale-building leadership turned him into a symbol of the unbreakable RAF spirit during the darkest days of the war. By early 1941, Douglas Bader had become a household name in Britain, not only for his flying skill, but for his courage and defiance. His next chapter began when he was promoted to lead the Tangmere Wing, a formation of Spitfire squadrons stationed along the southern coast of England. From this base, he would take the fight directly to occupied Europe. The Tangmere Wing was the RAF's sharpest sword. Bader's job was to escort bombers over France and engage the Luftwaffe wherever they appeared. He demanded precision, discipline, and teamwork, values he drilled into every pilot under his command. Despite his disability, he flew almost every mission himself, strapping on his artificial legs, climbing into the cockpit, and leading from the front. Flying his beloved Spitfire Mark V-A, Bader became famous for his bold tactics. He often dove head-on into enemy formations, counting on surprise and superior teamwork to scatter the Germans. His confidence was infectious. His men felt invincible when Bader's wing was in the air. Pilots under his command described him as tough but inspiring, a leader who treated every sortie like a chance to make history. By the summer of 1941, Bader had destroyed or damaged nearly 24 enemy aircraft, earning him the Distinguished Service Order and Bar, and the Distinguished Flying Cross and Bar, some of the RAF's highest honors. He was also promoted to Wing Commander, becoming one of the few officers with such rank who still flew combat missions. At the height of his fame, Bader was a hero to both pilots and civilians. Newspapers printed his photo, calling him the man who couldn't fall. Yet behind the triumph, fate was already preparing his next, most perilous test, one that would push him beyond even the limits of flight itself. On August 9, 1941, Douglas Bader's luck finally ran out. The Tangmere wing was assigned another routine fighter sweep over northern France, near the town of Saint-Omer. The objective was simple: lure out German fighters and engage them while covering bombers on their way back to England. Bader, as always, led the formation from the front in his Spitfire Mark 5A, call sign DB. The mission began smoothly. The RAF pilots spotted enemy aircraft, Messerschmitt Bf-109s, and dove to attack. In the chaos of the dogfight, Bader's section was scattered. He fired bursts at an enemy plane that spun away trailing smoke. But seconds later, his own Spitfire was hit. Whether it was enemy fire or a collision with another aircraft remains debated even today. His aircraft spun violently, half the tail torn away. He tried to bail out, but his artificial right leg became trapped in the cockpit. He fought frantically, finally managing to unstrap it, leaving the prosthetic behind as he parachuted out. He landed hard in a field near Le Touquet, surrounded almost immediately by German soldiers. When the Luftwaffe officers discovered who he was, Britain's famous legless ace, they were astonished. Even German ace Adolf Galland, one of the Luftwaffe's most respected pilots, wanted to meet him. In an act of chivalry, the Germans contacted the British through the Red Cross, offering to drop a replacement leg for Bader by parachute. The RAF agreed, dropping a new artificial leg over France during a bombing raid, a strange moment of humanity in the middle of war. For Bader, however, captivity was just another battlefield. He refused to give in, even behind barbed wire. The fight, in his mind, was far from over. After his capture, Douglas Bader was sent to a series of German prisoner-of-war camps, beginning with Stalag Luft III, the same camp later made famous by The Great Escape. Even as a POW, Bader's spirit was completely unbroken. His attitude was defiant. He treated his captors not with fear, but with the same arrogance and confidence he showed in the skies. From the start, Bader became a troublemaker in the best sense. He refused to obey camp rules, constantly challenging the guards and inspiring fellow prisoners to resist. Despite having 2 artificial legs, he made multiple escape attempts, crawling under fences, cutting through wires, and even hiding in laundry carts. Every time he was caught, he would shrug and simply start planning the next one. His most famous escape attempt came when he and 2 others managed to get outside the camp perimeter. But due to his limited mobility and the rough terrain, he was soon recaptured. The Germans admired his determination, though, and his reputation as the man who never gives up spread even among enemy soldiers. Eventually, the Germans decided Bader was too much trouble to keep moving around. They transferred him to Colditz Castle, a maximum security fortress reserved for the most uncooperative Allied prisoners. Even there, he continued organizing resistance, encouraging younger officers to stay disciplined and hopeful. Bader also befriended some Luftwaffe officers, maintaining a strange mutual respect. Adolf Galland himself visited him again, and the two would discuss tactics, ethics, and the madness of war, pilot to pilot, not enemy to enemy. Behind the barbed wire, Bader's leadership never wavered. He couldn't fly anymore, but he could still fight, with morale, defiance, and unbreakable will.
By early 1945, as Allied forces advanced deeper into Germany, Douglas Bader was still imprisoned at Colditz Castle. The once unbreakable fortress was beginning to lose its grip as Nazi Germany neared collapse. On April 15, 1945, American forces liberated the camp, freeing Bader and the other prisoners. True to his character, Bader didn't celebrate wildly. He simply asked for a uniform and a chance to fly again. After his return to Britain, doctors examined him and were astonished by how well he had maintained his health despite years of captivity and his artificial legs. Within months, he was back in the cockpit. Although the war was ending, Bader wasn't done with aviation. He became a symbol of perseverance, touring bases, giving motivational talks, and reminding young pilots that a man's only limits are the ones he sets for himself. In the post-war years, Bader worked for Shell Aviation, using his fame to promote flying safety and awareness. He also became a leading advocate for disabled veterans, proving by example that physical loss didn't mean loss of purpose. His story spread far beyond military circles, turning him into one of Britain's most celebrated war heroes. In 1976, his incredible life was portrayed in the film Reach for the Sky, based on Paul Brickhill's biography. It inspired millions, showing a man who had lost both legs, yet refused to lose his will to fly or fight. Douglas Bader passed away in 1982, but his legacy continues to inspire pilots, soldiers, and anyone facing adversity. His story isn't about war alone. It's about unshakable courage, relentless determination, and a spirit that refused to surrender, even when grounded.